Hey everyone, this is Olay from Laddering Your Success, and you're listening to the LYS Podcast. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world. Welcome one, welcome all to another episode of Edu Steps, powered by Laddering Your Success. As always, I am Olay here with my good friend Festus and Olay. Festus, how you doing today, brother?
It's good to be back, man. It's like I've been on a little hiatus.
That's right, man. Boy, took the summer vacay. Let's took a little summer vacay.
I wish that was the case. It's for at least for me, it's like, you're always doing something. Sometimes you want to be by the beach with the coconut or whatever, just relaxing. But that's but no,
pina colada.
Step away and handle some things, and so it's good to be back, man.
Well, we missed you, and we're glad you're back. We're glad you're back, man. Glad you're back.
Thank you, man.
For sure. So today we want to talk about parents. July 9th, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but in a couple of weeks, actually in a couple of weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, depending on how much of a planner you are, it's already going to be about that time. I don't want to say it, but you're going to have to start pulling out the glue and the pencils and the colored pencils and the backpacks and the clothes. Tax-free weekend. I think tax-free weekend is usually when, here in Texas, we have this thing called tax-free weekend where it's like, well, it's no tax on like things pertaining to school. So students in school. So like clothes and backpacks and shoes and things like that. There's no tax charge on that, which I've always wondered if they pull up the price just a little bit, or if they just keep the prices as they are.
So from my understanding, I think the because in Texas, that's really, so there's only really 2 taxes in Texas, or 3 for businesses.
Mm-hmm.
There is sales tax, right? There's property tax, and then there's the franchise tax if your business makes over like $1 million or whatever.
Yeah.
So from my understanding, they're just able to drop the sales tax. So I don't think they really raise the price. It's just that it's suspended on certain items. So I think it might even be too much work for them.
So, yeah. To do
which
that. I think is fair. I think it helps a lot of parents that need it. I don't know if I don't want to say it's my conspiracy brain. It's just, I guess it's just a little kid in me that's like, well, how are they going to make any money? But it's like, well, it's made to benefit the family. So, they kind of give a little break there, which is really, really cool. But yeah, we're talking about the parents, and the question that we want to ask is, how do parents connect with their kids in 2023? How do parents connect with their kids in 2023? Mm-hmm. And I was really thinking, I was like, well, first of all, I was like, what are we going to talk about today? Mm-hmm. But then I started thinking about a couple of weeks ago. I think was it 2 weeks already? I think it's been 2 weeks since the NAMC. Yeah, it was 2 weeks since the career discovery.
Yeah.
And I was working with the parents. The LYS did a presentation, and we did almost like a classroom session with parents. We went over a lot of our material, and one of the coolest things I noticed is, as I was going through the material, one of the parents just raised their hands and they were like, "This is all good. This is great. This is great. But what do I do when this happens?" And then another parent was like, "And what happens?" And I was like, "Whoa, okay, all right, cool. We'll do it. Your problem for you, do your problem." But I noticed that there are a lot of parents who see the issues that their children are going through, right? They're as they would say on Chappelle's show, they're not blind to the eye, right? Mm-hmm. They see the issues that their children are going through. And what they're doing now is they're really trying to figure out, like, what do I do? How do I connect? Like, I've diagnosed it. Now, what things can I do to help bridge this gap between parent and the child? I think certain things are going to happen. Certain things are inevitable, right? When your kid gets to a certain age, especially around high school, there's just going to be that separation that they kind of build, where they do want to go off on their own and kind of test a lot of the things they've learned in their younger years and with the little that they learned in high school, and they want to start to try and test it, hang out with their friends more. And so that's a good, it's hard for parents, because I'm thinking about even now when I was growing up, I could see how hard it is for parents for them to let their children go, so to speak, and kind of like fend for themselves. But there are still some things that you can do to help your child learn and grow, because they're not done yet, obviously, if they're still living at home and being dependent on it. And so just wanted to go over a couple of things and talk about how we can implement those things as parents to help connect with our kids, especially in 2023, when so much is happening, so much is changing, and so much is changing quickly. It's not just a change, it's a change, and then another change, and then another change. And so, excuse me, it's very easy to get caught up and, have this feeling where you're like being left behind. And so I think it's really, really poignant right now.
Man,
and so one of the Festus, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's why I think this topic is so needed right now, because you're really hitting the nail on the head, and I can't wait to get into it. So let's go ahead, hop right in.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things I'm thinking about is, well, it kind of has a lot to do why things are changing so quickly, and that's technology, engaging in technology. So, but outside of that, like creating free quality time, right? So like maybe setting a dedicated time or a day where there's just a limited use of technology and you're able to connect with your child. I was talking to my chiropractor on Friday, I think it was, and he was just talking about his daughter. And well, actually, he said his son, who's a baseball player, him and his friend were going to go to McDonald's to buy a Grimace shake. The new Grimace shake, right?
I have no idea. Yeah, but that's a little bit younger than my kids, so they're not asking for McDonald's yet, so I don't know.
No. I mean from when we were growing up.
Oh, you mean the little 5 McDonald's figures?
Yeah. So
it
was Ronald, Grimace, Hamburglar, and the other one that was almost like the girl. She was like a duck or something.
Yeah. I don't remember what she was.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, that was a huge part of our childhood.
It was.
We're seeing so much cyclical stuff happening, man. Like like we used to go to the play place as kids, hang around at the play place, and the play place is gone now. A lot of them don't have, because but even before COVID, it was like, well, kids are gonna get hurt, this, that, and the other. And it's just like, man, they used to just throw us in a ball pit. We used to do stone cold stunners, suplexes, sharpshooters, elbow drops from the top of from the ball pit, man. But people are operating in fear, unfortunately. And this is how you know you're operating in fear. When you were able to do something successfully, and you no longer do that thing simply due to an anticipation of pain or an anticipation of something going wrong, you're operating in fear, right? So if you're saying like, okay, you're that athlete and you injure yourself, and it's like, okay, now it's time to get back on the field. You know what I mean? Like if you did the proper rehab, you should be able to get back on the field. But then there's like the mental component of like, I don't want to get that having to get, and that's where I feel like we're at with children now. Yeah. Is like everybody wants their child and their child's childhood to be perfect. Yeah. And to me, I'm about to go get a little saucy here. I'm feeling it.
It's like, okay, you experience pain as a parent, and you're saying, okay, I don't want my child to experience this pain. And it's almost the same thing. You're now projecting your pain and your fear onto your child, so they don't get to live a full life. Yeah. Because a life is full of a range of experiences. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that's a thing that like I think we need to like get past, so that we can experience those forms of play, right? Like that's literally what you're talking about, like developmental play. Yeah. You know what I mean? Is that stone cold stunner or the coming off the, you know what I'm saying?
Top rope, top buckle.
Yeah, the top rope. That there's lessons to be learned in the top rope. You know what I mean? But bro, I know, and as big as I am, this is so funny because it's like you know, okay, I'm teaching Nehemiah to climb trees, right? So me and Nehemiah in the tree, and this dude's like on his like blanket, like listening to music. He like, that's as far as your dad's able to go, but you know what I mean? And so in my mind, and bro, I'm talking about this like 3 weeks ago. This is not like forever, right? So I'm like, I could go higher, you know what I mean? So I'm, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, to me, it's so funny because as I'm looking at Nehemiah, like this is his first time climbing a tree. So he's like, you know, oh wow, this is scary. This is like, ooh, trying to figure this out. So this other kid comes over and he's like, I can do it too, you know? And so we're like going back and forth over like climbing this tree, you know what I mean? I'm trying to like not step on their fingers up in the tree or whatever.
Yeah.
And granted, as big as I am, you need a really big tree, you know what I'm saying? So, but it's like that experience of like the roughness of the tree in your hand and like you're the mental challenge of like, okay, let me figure this out. Like to me, I think that's like invaluable to growth. You know what I'm saying? And so anyway, that little soapbox moment, but I know we're gonna go in today.
Definitely needed, man.
D Hill, what's up, brother?
What's up, my guy? What's up, my guy? How y'all doing?
D Hill made it, man. I thought you was at a party.
Yeah. I'm at my homeboy's house, man. He actually coaches out in Cyprus, right?
Yeah, Cyprus.
Cyprus, yeah. I was over telling about how y'all mentor kids and also help them get scholarships. So he actually coaches out there.
Oh, that's what's up. What sports?
Basketball.
Basketball. Okay. Yeah, we definitely chop it up.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
looking forward to it, man. Love what you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I gotta go, man. I would just had to, you know what I'm saying, show them y'all real quick, man. I had to tell them about y'all.
You're the ambassador, sir.
Hey, shoot them that episode that we did with your students. You remember?
Okay.
Yeah. I think we edited.
I gotta find that mug.
I got you. I'll shoot something over. Either what we did with the other students or what we did with what I did with Jamarc's students or yours.
Okay.
I'll shoot them one.
Cool. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, y'all.
All right, man. Be good. Yeah. So I was at the chiropractor. For those of you who don't know, that was the ambassador, by the way, Daniel Hill. That's the ambassador. That's D Hill doing what D Hill does best.
And for those who listen to the podcast rather than watch, this is kind of like a call-in show. So you're more than welcome to hop in with us and join the conversation or just bring somebody else along ambassadoring. You know what
I mean? Absolutely.
Yeah. But go ahead, bro.
So yeah, I was at the chiropractor and my chiropractor's, he was saying his son and his friend were going to McDonald's to get the new Grimace shake, which is very popular. I see it's all over the commercials and stuff. And they were going to get a Grimace shake and they were going to pour it over their heads. And he said, and he was talking to his son, he said, "You're going to go buy a shake and pour it over your head?" And his son was like, "Yeah, that's it's a thing they're doing on TikTok." And he's like, "Oh gosh, you know, just I'm sure all across the board, same parental reaction, like, oh
yeah,
gosh.
You're taking my hard-earned money to go, like, just go make a mud pie outside and
go do that."
Yeah.
And so he was talking about his daughter as well, and he was saying, you know, he was like, even my daughter, she's she's on that phone like all day. She's on that phone like all day.
Wow.
And you know, he was like, I really want him to be able to just not be on the phone sometime and just be able to have a conversation, you know.
Yeah.
Mind you, this is why like I'm getting adjusted. So I'm like, and so I have the courage to like, well, the strength really to lift my hand up for a fist bump, to get a fist bump, you know, and just be like, we're in solidarity. Like I got you. I hear you. I think one of the most important things we got to understand is, as advanced and as amazing and as with respect to the ingenuity and the abilities of software developers, great minds to come up with these apps and these programs and these devices that do these awesome things, we're still human.
Yeah.
And at our core, we were made to interact with each other, with other humans. I think, you know, like anything, there's good with social media. It's given us the ability to reach and communicate with people on the other side of the world, and to learn and express ourselves, learn new cultures and languages and have new experiences. But at our very core, right, to the things that, like, I'm talking about the things that can be studied to prove the
That talk, though.
It comes down to interpersonal relationship and connection. Can I just talk to you? Can I ask you how your day is? One of the most important things you'll notice is, if you look very closely, a story like this will come out of nowhere. Where I saw not too long ago, a couple raised about $37,000 for a young boy who just rung a doorbell and said he was lonely and he needed friends. We live in 2023, a time where I think I worded it this way. I can talk to my phone and conjure food.
Yeah. Woo!
I can literally talk to my phone and conjure food to my direct location. Hey, phone, order me this, this, and this to this address at this time. We have so much, accessible to the tips of our fingertips. Yet deep down inside, all we really want is just that genuine connection with someone. That's all we want. And so I think for parents, I think this is key. This is very, very important. I think it helps us really understand what's going through the mind of a lot of our children. Is a lot of them may not have that. And what do? We are reactionary as people. Like, we don't have this, we don't have certain things. So we kind of do certain things to fill that void, right? And a lot of times it is the phone. It is these things that give us that stability, that connection. I find myself doing it sometimes when I'm like on ChatGPT, looking up stuff, I'll say things like, thank you. And I'm like, why don't we just say thank you to a computer? It's like this politeness thing. You know what I mean? Festus, I saw your eyes, Mimo. Go ahead, man.
But how do I put this? When I in the LYS book, when I kicked it off, right? When I kicked it off, just talking about like what is laddering your success and what are we trying to do? I talked about the connection in which I'm gonna read an excerpt. The question of how, and this is from page 8, the question of how is usually what we ask ourselves. Truth be told, the how is not the problem. Where is? We must start deep within ourselves, inside of you. There are many experiences, feelings, and inherited traits that brought you to where you are today. Where you are today and the course of action that you take will determine your tomorrow. But why do you make the choices you do? It's because you're looking to fit in one way or another. Our search is one of connectedness. We want to be loved and appreciated for who we are and the things that we do. So where are you? And I think that's one of the like just chief things as parents is understanding the same way that you want to connect, your child wants to connect. And this is the thing I think that's really, really like hurting us to a certain degree. And I don't think this is the full aspect of the problem, but it's a portion of the problem. Is like parents are still looking to connect with other adults. And sometimes that gets in the way of them connecting with their kids. And so whether it's relationship with a spouse, relationship with baby mama, relationship with friends wanting to hang out, and there's now this divide of like, I really want to go out to a club, to a lounge, and like, got these kids I got to babysit. And then there's this tension, right? Instead of like, this is just a aspect of life, where it's like, and there's going to be bigger aspects than others. And like right now, it's going to be a lot of us spending time together. So how can I make the most of this relationship while I have it? You know what I mean? And I think that's across the board. It's like, man, this is going to get really personal. But, the situation we talked about yesterday, where somebody we mutually know had passed away. And unfortunately, they were taken out by a family member.
Mhm.
And literally it's, parent-child relationship.
Yeah.
And I think of my last conversation with that person. And my last conversation with that person, even though I hate that it was the last conversation I had, I can think of how positive that conversation was.
Mm.
And it was just like, I don't get to see this person often. Let me highlight some of the positives of the person in the relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which was all true stuff. And I think that's some of the things sometimes is we need to dig a couple layers deep to like, okay, there's good and bad in every relationship, right? Can we highlight the good? And I'm not talking about in this way that a lot of people do now, where it's like, I can do no wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your child does wrong, okay? And, parents, that's the thing. It's like, you have to look at, am I encouraging the good that they do as well as, balancing out that wrong that they do? So meaning, if you're cussing and yelling and screaming at your kid for how wrong they are, and then you just get a little like pat on the head of like, oh, I guess you did okay there.
Yeah.
No, you need a balanced approach, right? And sometimes you need to be less balanced and more on the rewarding side, not necessarily just to do it for the sake of doing it, but to be the most positive voice in their head.
Mm.
Right? Because that, I think, is part of the connection, right? Is to be like, hey, that I'm proud of you moment can outweigh the peer pressure, can outweigh the emotional pressure, right? Like, that's the thing. It's like that the reality of like, I'm connecting with you and I'm espousing some deep things that I see within you, right? Can outweigh the negatives. And there's sometimes we just go through negative in life and we have these reactions and things like that, but we really need to connect with that child so that when we're not around, when we are around, there's that positivity there, but go ahead, bro. I know I'm actually kind of getting emotional off of the situation, but.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No.
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay. Just wanted to take a quick break to let you know that even though the cost of college can be daunting, the LYS Scholarship Guide ebook can assist you in realizing your dreams. You can identify and apply for scholarships using the information, advice, and resources in our comprehensive guide. Also, we've provided a template for a successful scholarship essay to help you stand out from the crowd. Don't allow student loan debt to control you. Get your copy of the LYS Scholarship Guide ebook right away to take charge of your destiny. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to that fire conversation.
So I wanted to ask, because you said something really important there when you talked about parents kind of searching to have relationships with other adults. So usually like in a house, if there's a mom and a dad, how important is it to, I'm just thinking about it, like I'm just playing it out in my head. That's got to be super important, right? If we're talking about setting out times to where we're talking about no technology in the house and it's just you and your family just enjoying each other without technology, how important is that for like mom and dad, for them to be like in sync, shall I say, with one another? That's what I was kind of getting from what you were saying, right? Like, you want to go somewhere, but or let's say your wife wants to go somewhere, and you got things you're trying to do, or whatever. Yeah. It's like, because I know we talk about that sometimes, like making time, with your partner.
Yeah, like I think everything goes back to being known, doing right, and the two parts of being is values and principles. And so whenever you're having this kind of tug of war, I think you go to values and principles, because part of any relationship is like duty, right? And sometimes I think we're like, I don't want to do this, but I guess I have to because you're my ex, whatever that relationship may be. But I think the values and principles are also the key. And it's like, okay, and just like one example of, I would say a principle is quality time. And that could be a value too. But if you look at research says 20 minutes a day of uninterrupted time with a spouse is considered quality time. So connecting for 20 minutes a day, that's what some of the most popular research today says. And so, okay, what are we doing versus like the interruptions? You know what I mean? And trying to find out like, okay, how can I spend this 20 minutes, right? I'm not saying that needs to be the bar. I'm not saying that needs to be, you know, the goal either or the standard. But I think just trying to figure out like, okay, I walked in, put my phone up. Now, what am I doing from the time I get in? I know everybody needs like that decompression time, but then what are the things we could connect on, right? And this is kind of what they say about the 20 minutes. The 20 minutes needs to be not about the kids, not about dinner, not about blah, blah, blah. And so how can you break through that? And when it goes, how's your day? How's your day? Okay. You know, no, what's up in your life lately? Right? Because you start to see life differently, you know? And I know just kind of in our house, which I'm thankful for, my wife's just big on like, if we could chill and watch a movie or something like that. That's actually like, I mean, even though she likes to go out and do things, like just that quality time of like, hey, we're here, wrapped up in a blanket, watch a movie, you know what I mean? That's like huge. And so every once in a while, you have to just try to make sure you etch out that time. You know what I mean? Because for her that, you know, you go love languages, that's quality time, like her love language. And so it's like, hey, what's a movie you want to watch? That's something I had to learn. Like, we don't like the same things all the time. Like, I'm more of documentaries, info, history. She's more of like, you know, kind of more laid back, chill, cultural, what's, you know, pop, stuff like that. And I'm like, you know, I have to realize like, yo, you can't watch documentaries on the Federal Reserve all the time. They're stealing our future. You know what I mean? So
our money hasn't been backed by gold for 60 years.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, and I'll bring it up whatever movie, bro. When y'all get a chance, there's a movie out. I guess it's like a more independent film, small film called Waffle Street. We just got a chance to watch it yesterday, and it was about a guy. I know I'm just kind of going totally off. I think it's relevant, but it was a guy who was making a ton of money, financial industry, lost his job, ended up going to work at like a franchise restaurant, and like he's basically trying to find his way in life again, and meets this guy who's an ex-convict, and basically the ex-convicts teaching him about like life and the working in this business. And so I just thought it was like so apropos, because like I'm like pausing the film, like she's asking me questions like, what about this? And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure this movie is based off of Waffle House. And let me tell you about the 2008 economic crash. And I bet you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, I just think it's hilarious, you know what I'm saying? But if that's quality time, then that's how you can connect and have those conversations and talk about perspective, you know what I mean? Just be aware of that like this is the way we connect. And I think the same thing applies from spouses to kids. Like sometimes, you know, my kids, they watch stuff on TV. I watch what they watch to try to see what it's about. Like, okay, can I get the gist of this show? You know what I mean? You know, is it good or not? You know what I mean? So I'll be watching Ninja Turtles. Like, okay, I know Ninja Turtles from when I grew up. The Ninja Turtles we watch is 2 different Ninja Turtles now. You know what I mean? So I'm watching and I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay, explain the scene to me. So I'm doing what my wife does to me, to them. Tell me about what happened with Donatello, what happened with Raphael, you know what I'm saying? And these are just connection points, right? Yeah. So.
You know, you remind me of, I'm pretty sure I've talked about this, but you remember when, so we had UPN growing up, the network. And so I would watch Martin, you know, other shows. And I'm pretty sure I've talked about this, where my dad used to make me write down like summaries of the episode.
Oh, no, you didn't never say that.
I never talked about that?
No. Go ahead.
Because my dad was big on like, you have to at least read, you have to at least like educate or do something productive. So he was like, your homework is to come home. If you're going to watch Martin, I need you to give me 5 to 7 sentences on the episode of Martin that you watch. And so you can imagine, because my dad's, one of his quotes was, when you watch these shows, there's nothing educational. You're not learning anything educational from these shows. And it just so happened that it was the episode where Martin got a Benjamin Banneker clock.
Yeah, I remember that episode.
So I think it was like the cuckoo, right? It was like,
Yeah, the cuckoo. Yeah.
and so I kept looking, I was like, who is Benjamin Banneker? And so I went in and I don't know what I did. I don't know if I searched it or what after school or whatever, but I found out all this stuff about, because I thought Benjamin Banneker was a fictional
character. Yeah,
I thought it was a fictional character. I'm like, nah, this dude was like a mad surveyor and like scientist and all this other stuff. I was like, oh man, this is crazy. This is wild. And so I was like, aha, Dad. It really isn't. It's not that it's not educational. I learned about Benjamin Banneker from an episode of Martin. So it's one of those funny things, man. Okay, so the next thing that we have is sharing mealtime together. So making it a priority to have like regular family meals where everyone gathers around the table to eat and just engage in conversation, right? This is the time that you can use to connect. You can, talk about what happened in school, share stories. You can discuss everyone's day. And I know one of the first things parents would say is, you want me to have mealtime? Let me tell you something. I got to pick up this kid by 5:30. This kid has a game by 6. This other kid is coming back home till 8 p.m. or whatever. Totally understand. It doesn't have to be during the week. It can be in the morning, on the weekend. It can be in the evening, anytime. It doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes. I think what you said was powerful, Fest, is about QT, about quality time. 20 minutes. Go buy some string cheese. Go buy some Gushers or some, fruit snacks. Just sit. Hey, what's up? And I think the thing that's so cool about these kids is initially, even when we did the actually every year we've done the career discovery, teenagers do this thing where, they fill you out, but they're just like, so like nonchalantly, like they're involuntarily attentive. Or let me say they're voluntarily being attentive. I guess I can say that. Where they're just like, they're paying attention, but everything about them is just like, whatever, I'm just here. And then, you
body
bring one or
language.
two.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I was saying the body language ain't quite there.
Yeah. And then you hit them with one little thing or two little, you hit them about one unique story that kind of like, or, one little stat or one little fact that kind of piques their interest. And before you know it, you've got them hooked. But you can't get there if you don't even do it at all. You can't get to that point if you don't give them the opportunity to even talk about their interests or their things. Because we always talk about this. Your closest ancestor is your parent. So a lot of the things that you like at one point in time, your kids like, right? Or your kids, or one of your kids probably do like. So I think that's a really good thing, man. Just sitting down, quick 20-minute, having a conversation with your kids. I think those things are very, very powerful. And speaking along the lines of like, talking about things that your kids like, shared hobby, shared interest. I can tell you now, and Festus, maybe we can talk about this a little bit more. I didn't know that my dad worked I knew he worked at basically a garden. He was a park ranger for all these years, but I never knew that was his passion. I never knew that was his purpose, right? And so, I just saw this, oh, my dad's going to work. If you would have asked me if my dad loved what he did, I would have said, he likes the fact that he gets paid. I think he likes the fact that he's able to pay his bills. I don't know if necessarily he likes it, but the craziest thing happened when he retired. And I got to, me, my mom, my brother, we went to the park and they had a little, reception for him. They had a little party. And, he introduced me to all his coworkers, the staff and stuff. And the secretary came and she was like, your dad's a special man. And she said, I knew that this was his calling when early on when he was working in the park. he was cleaning an area, and there was a rat just hanging out. Like, he was like literally on the ground just working, and there was a rat just chilling, just hanging around him. And she was like, I know you know rat. I know you know rats. They're very like, squeamish and they're quick to run. How much of a calming presence must you have for a rat to come to you and just hang out by you? And when she said that, I was like, oh dang, this is real. This is for real, for real.
Yeah. Where the rats are like, yes, garden master. Like, do your due diligence so he can nibble.
How do you make me think of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when he's like, Orokosaki?
Yeah.
Just to see that. And so I think having those opportunities to talk about certain things. I told you the other day about my dad telling me about his dad and my great grandmother both loving cats. I never knew that. I never knew they had pet cats. To me, the idea of having a pet cat in Nigeria in like the 1920s is so weird to me. You know what I mean? But when you do that, we're so imaginative as humans. We start to like literally imagine our ancestors, those before us, like, just living their lives. And I think that really helps to just build connection with family. Yeah, to build connection with family in homes. And so I think it's just super, super powerful, man. Just having those conversations with your family, just talking about your shared interests, talking about your hobbies. I think since everything is so cyclical, since everything wants to go back and retro, I think if you do find those commonalities, and this even goes to generations, Festus.
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay once again. These days, many families are busy, but want personalized attention. We at Laddering Your Success understand this dilemma and have created a unique approach to help guide you and your child with personal development tools to build a life of purpose. This intimate approach is helpful for those parents that feel the need to have a focused heart-to-heart conversation deciding on the next steps after high school. We provide individual post-secondary planning, virtual customized college and career counseling, and scholarship guidance and planning. Our one-on-one sessions are tailored to each individual student to maximize their potential in the post-secondary realm. With our guidance, your child will be able to make their dreams a reality. Don't wait. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to business on this podcast.
When we talk about how, things that kids love now, where those things kind of were derived from and the history of how those things started, if you're with a parent or even a grandparent and they can give you the backstory, that gives you a whole new appreciation for whatever it is you're learning, for whatever it is they're talking about, right? I'll give you a quick example, because just in case you want to hop in. When we were in middle school, when I was in middle school, before we moved to A-Leaf, there were these jeans called Jinko jeans.
Oh, Jinkos.
All the break dancers wore Jinko jeans.
Yeah, Jinkos.
They were like bell bottoms on steroids.
Yeah, that's when.
Because the bell bottoms flared at the bottom. Jinko jeans were flared from like the top.
The hip down. Yeah.
Yeah. And you knew they were I knew they were breakdancing jeans because the logo was literally a dude doing the the thing here. And so this last year at the school, I saw a girl wearing bell bottoms, and I pulled the OG card. I was like, "Girl, what you doing with them bell bottoms? What you know about them bell bottoms?" No, dang well, I didn't even know about bell bottoms from the back in the day. She was like, "Oh, I don't know." I was like, back in my day, we had the Jinko jeans. They were like this all the way, from the hip. And she was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, from the hip." They were breakdancing pants, and I'm over here schooling like a sixth grader. You know what I mean? On the Jinko jeans, man. You know what? This is nothing. This is nothing. I'm talking about them Jinko jeans. If you fell from a plane, you could have landed safely. All right? Them things were like, dude, Jinko jeans 90s. Let's see the ones from the 90s. Look, you see them one right there? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking.
Punk rock aspect to it.
Huh?
The punk rock aspect
So
to it.
yeah, man. So, yeah, just the power of shared interests, shared hobbies, man. I think it's so key. But Festus, I want to delve a little deeper because I'm trying to put myself back in the mindset that I was back at the career discovery, where the parents were like, "This is great, this is all fine, but I have a child that does this, I have a child that does that." That I feel like we're more inclined to have kids that when you do try to do these things as a parent, because we're so used to our kids, even the way we as parents will try to come to them, it'll be like, sit down and talk about what do you like right now? Shut up and tell me your interests. You know what I mean? So how can we kind of break through the glass with our kids? Because the relationship that we have as LYS is different than the relationship a parent will actually have with their child.
Absolutely. And so we'll go into a couple different things here. Well, we'll go into two things. One, idea or the core dialogue. Okay, if you really want to understand your child, try to understand their heart. And what I mean by their heart is their inner dialogue. Okay, and what's their inner dialogue? Because in their formative years, you're helping to develop that inner dialogue. So if you look at Erik Erikson and his theories of development, right, you're really looking at, number one, do they feel loved and secure, right? As a child, did you take care of them? Did you meet their basic needs? Okay, after that, do they feel industrious? Do they feel like they can have a can-do attitude, right? So that's like early stage. And then after that, do they feel competent in the world, right? That I could take on certain challenges. Okay, and so that's kind of what we're developing early. So now in that teenage phase, they're looking at, okay, how much can I take on myself? And they need reassurance, reassurance. And so as a parent, understanding that core inner dialogue is key. Part of it is that you give them the inner dialogue, right? Then the other part about that is now the flip of understanding your parenting style. So if I give them the dialogue, or I help stir up the dialogue in the child, now I need to look at my parenting style. And we talk about four main different parenting styles: is authoritative, authoritarian, laissez-faire, or kind of hands-off parenting, and what was the last one?
Permissive.
And a permissive parent. Right. And for the sake of this episode, we won't go too deep on those. But now, based off of me understanding this core dialogue of like, should I, shouldn't I? And that's what every person has. If I understand that in my child, now I can kind of leverage that in the terms of building a relationship based off of my parenting style. So if I'm pushing my child, and I'll give an example of this. We went to the park yesterday. We're hanging out. Kids are at the playground, and this is playground in Sugarland, dope playground. But they have like one of the highest slides I've seen, like in a natural. They have like two loops. You know what I mean? It's almost like the '90s playground where like no guardrails, concrete. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, dude, you guys are trying. You know what I'm saying? And so that's a bunch of gang of kids out there, and the kids are going up. Well, I'm looking at, I watch how my kids play. That's part of how I understand their inner dialogue. Well, it's like 4 or 5 kids that go up into the top of this. It's like a treehouse thing to go down this slide. Well, when you get up there, it's literally almost like 3 stories. This is how tall this thing is. As an adult, there's 3 levels to it.
Wow.
So I go up the thing. So no, I don't go up the thing. I'm watching them. All the kids are going down. Well, my kids are coming back out the opposite way. And I was like, okay, they're both afraid. I knew it off the top. And I was like, I'm just gonna watch. I'm gonna watch this develop. I'm gonna watch their dialogue.
Yeah.
And so our younger one, he's a little bit more gung-ho, kind of, I'm not gonna say he's braver, but I'm just saying he's more gung-ho, like, yo. So they all go up. All the kids go down the slide. My kids come back out the other way, right? Those kids, because like they go down the 3 stories, they come back up. So my kids like meet them halfway. And then Zach's like, yo, he calls out to me, daddy, so I go up. And so I'm like, yeah, you can do it. You can do it. And so he gets in, but then he gets out. He gets in and gets out. And then like I'm touching him. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? So now, all the other parents are looking up at me like, this father's abusing his children up there. But in reality, I'm like, you need to learn to face your fears and challenges.
Yeah,
now, I will say this. They went to that park I've taken them there for almost 2 years. So they've done this before. But it's been so long from the last time they've done it, they don't remember the experience. So long story short, Zach goes, our youngest goes. Now our second board comes up, he's like, yo, Daddy, I want to go too. I want to go too. Well, I'm trying to tell him to go. And then he's fighting, he's arguing. I'm like, okay, get out the way.
Yeah.
Let these other kids go. And you're impeding other people from them doing what they want to do because of your fear.
Yeah.
So you have two choices. I'm not going to take that dialogue and now force the dialogue of, oh, I'm forcing you to face your fears. Because guess what? That's me. That's not you facing your own fear.
Yeah.
Right? So we get down. Doug. Okay, he's crying. He goes to, Keisha. No, I told him to get out the way because he's stopping those other kids. They're having fun. Let them do their thing. Now, there's another part of the playground where it's like a little mountain thing. They climb up. This is like 2 stories. Like I said, this is like serious playground. I'm like, yeah, like you could fall off from there. You know what I'm saying?
It's
but
like a Fear Factor Kids.
It is, bro. And so I'm like, okay. He really likes Spider-Man. So I'm like, okay. He's trying to crawl on this rope that's up there. And I'm like, oh man, it's kind of dangerous, but I'm like, I need to leave him alone. Because even though he didn't face his fear on the first objective, he's facing it now. And I think that's the thing as parents that we have to understand is how to allow that process to take place, how to let that inner dialogue take place and not force it. So then when he's up there, I'm like, are you showing me Spider-Man? Are you doing Spider-Man? Because I know Spider-Man's his favorite character. Yeah. And he's like, yeah. And so now we're safely going through that together of like him crawling on this rope and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so to me, the second thing he did was actually more dangerous than the first thing, because at least like you're in a tube up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The second one is like you're standing 2 stories up, like just up there. No support, no nothing. And I'm like, dog, why is it? You know what I'm saying? There should be something here as a parent. But then I'm like, but that's him facing his fear. So there's ways to support in that too, right? And so that's what I think parents can kind of take away is like, okay, what are they saying to themselves? Now, how can I tap in to who I know they are or what they like and then help support? And so, we had a blast with that. So I hope that
I think that's key. I think that's powerful. That's a powerful point, man. Super powerful about really understanding the way they think, because I think a lot of parents know their kids, right? They know their kids. They even know what drives their kids. If I offer them this, right, maybe as a form of incentive, I know that that'll be their way to do things. But I think what you do is it's literally, as you started talking, it was literally breaking through the glass. And it's really like it makes sense because you went to school for this. It's the psychology part of it, of knowing how they think, right? Because, you were teaching me about this, right? The synapses, right? And so as your brain, we are wired, just like your son was. What's fearful here, right, is fearful to me here. This other thing, which may be harder, I have less fear towards this. I can do this, right? And so once you really start to understand how your child thinks, I'm not saying in terms of like manipulation, I'm saying in terms of being able to connect. See, that's the powerful part. Understanding how your child thinks so you're able to connect with them. I think that's super powerful, man. That's super powerful. And I think that's what a lot of parents do. A lot of surface level thinking. Which makes sense. I get it, because it's 2023 and your kids need to eat now. It's 2023 and you got to get them these clothes. You got to get them this, you got to get them that. This person, Katie has this event here. They're going here. They have this sporting event. They got this. I haven't gotten food, this, that. I got to do this work thing. My husband, my wife is over here. It's so much. So I think taking that time, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes to just sit down and, you know, you got your phone. If you got to take some notes, this is how my child thinks. You know, it's very rare that you do have like multiple, like, you know, like even twins don't, a lot of twins don't do this. It's very rare that you have kids that think exactly alike.
No.
And I think that's the fun part of having kids.
Yeah.
It's just seeing how they all, when they all come together, just, especially as they get older, how they just start to, you know, work and how they start to internalize things. So I think that's a very beautiful point there, man. That's a very beautiful point there. Do you want to do one more or?
Yeah, let's do one more. Let's do one more.
Right, let's do one more. And I think this is a great one actually to end on. I'm gonna let you go into this. Creating family rituals and traditions. So establishing family rituals and traditions creates a sense of belonging and strengthens family bonds. It can strengthen those family bonds. It could be a weekly movie night. It could be a monthly game night, a special holiday traditions that are unique to your family. I think those personalized things are super, super powerful. And I'll give you a quick example because Festus, I want you to talk about this a little bit more. My dad used to do this thing at Christmas, and I was a chubby kid. I was a chunky kid. And so, man, I had a nose for candy like what was it? Augustus from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Augustus Gloop. Yeah.
Boy. So my dad would do the coolest thing. He would buy like king size Reese's, king size Snickers bars, M&Ms, and he would hide them in the tree. He'd hide them in the Christmas tree.
Oh, wow.
And he'd be like, all right. And, you know, I was about like 8, 9, 10. So that means Aki was about 4, 5, 6.
Wow.
That poor guy he didn't stand a chance, man.
Oh,
He did
man.
not stand a chance, man. Boy, by the time he was say go, I already had like 2.
Oh, man.
You know, he mad, and I get it. And my dad would be like, man, give him a piece of something. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
But boy, but that was like one of those fond memories that, you know, that I had as a kid. And I think those are unique because, you know, I didn't know of anyone else. No one else talked about their parent doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's Easter. That's an Easter kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that was just, you know, the way my dad thought and how he did that. So if you can talk a little bit about the importance of creating those strongholds with traditions and with traditions and more importantly with the rituals, with traditions and rituals.
You know, I just recently, and I think it was this morning, I was reading a quote, and the quote was about as your family creates traditions, they created them usually to solve a problem or to provide a solution to a problem. And so in providing that solution to that problem, you no longer have the problem as long as you follow the tradition. So the thing is, let's say, for example, if the thing was sharing and creating, you know, kind of going off of your story, Olay, if the thing was sharing and I needed to create an opportunity to share, then maybe by doing this, creating that competitive edge, it also allowed for sharing and to talk about sharing, right? And that tradition then solves that problem, right? And I think that's definitely more applicable in larger people groups. You know, when you're talking about like tribes or you're talking about like whole communities and things like that, which this is why, you know, when people are against tribalism but pro community, those things kind of go hand in hand. And so, you know, there's some things there, so I won't get into that. But I think that's kind of the main thing, is really understanding what traditions, and I'll use this one, for example, is Jewish Shabbat, right? So Shabbat is where we get the word Sabbath from. Sabbath, we uses the word to set apart or holy to a certain degree for the days of the week, right? And so in this Jewish Shabbat, Friday night, as the sun goes down, it's entering Saturday, Sabbath day, you know, and in that tradition, the family comes together and has this meal in which they put away electronics, they put away things, and they do these basically oral traditions, right? A husband sings songs to his wife, right? I didn't know this. I'm from America, and so I'm thinking, Proverbs 31 woman, all this other great stuff. But actually, Proverbs 31 is actually meant to be a song. And so when you look at that, it's actually a song a husband's supposed to sing to his wife every week. And I thought about that and I was like, wow, when you really think about that, in America, especially Black church, it's about like great preaching. But the reality is this song is a song that's meant to be sung regardless if the spouse actually has those attributes or not.
Hey LYS fam, it's Olay. Thanks so much for listening to LYS. I just wanted to take a quick moment to talk to the parents. That's right, mom and dad. Parents, prepare your child for their best educational fit after high school with our comprehensive LYS Parents Guidebook. Our helpful guide includes a range of activities designed to help you better understand your child's unique gifts and abilities. Additionally, we provide valuable insights into the student loan debt crisis and offer practical tips on how to avoid accumulating large amounts of debt. Our ebook also includes a wealth of information on scholarships, grants, and payment exemptions that can help guide your child towards a bright and successful future. With our expert guidance, you can rest assured that your child is well prepared to make informed decisions about their education and career path. Don't let your child's future be in jeopardy. Invest in their future today by downloading the LYS Parents Guidebook. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to the show because it's some good topics.
Now imagine that to me is a very powerful tradition, is that kids see their father singing to their mother about attributes that she may or may not have. But the tradition of that by itself will teach the kids how to see good things in their spouse.
Yeah.
Versus us calling out all the little idiosyncrasies of the spouse. Yeah. And so I think those are like little things that are traditions. Again, they're particular to a particular community, right? Mm-hmm. Or a particular tribe, however you want to look at it. Because to me, communities, tribes, they just get larger, and then we call it a nation, people, group, whatever.
Civilizations.
Yes, society. Yeah. And so to me, those are the things that we need to look at is, okay, what am I doing that when my kids watch that thing, they will be able to carry that thing over as a solution to connectedness, as a solution to personal exchange with one another. I think these are things that we should think through, and not only think through. Sometimes it's just good to be in that tradition, and just do the tradition. And so whether and I think this is the thing that's really hard for a lot of American families in this day and age is we're kind of in this information age where we think we know it all. And we think, we could get away from those traditions and the religion of it and all of those different things. But those practices are actually what held people together. And so that's, I think, the thing you have to ask yourself as an individual, what am I doing that's holding my family together? Because believe it or not, whether you agree or not, I get there's a whole bunch of different perspectives. Everybody is somebody's child. And so even if you say, hey, I want to be single and mingle and I don't want kids or whatever, you're listening to this episode and you're tuning out and you're like, hey, I don't have kids, so this episode's not for me. Well, the doctor who takes care of you, the lawyer who takes care of you, the person who's fixing the pothole in the street is somebody's child. And the love and connectedness that they share has an impact on how that person shows up in the world, right? And that therefore has an impact on you. And so we should all, I think, take time out to reflect on these things. So yeah, that's it.
Absolutely, man. Fire. It's funny, man, when you were pulling out your copy of the LYS, I was like, man, you got to get that OG version, man.
The OG version. Yeah, the OG version.
We officially hit that. We have OG versions, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank God. You got OG versions, man. Oh, man. So awesome discussion on Parenting 2023. And a quick shout out to, hey, man, was we got a little official business. I want to give it a shout out. Just make sure. Who did those new thumbnails on YouTube?
Oh, that's AJ. Yeah.
All right, shout out to AJ. Shout out to AJ, part of the LYS, because I'm looking through. I was out sending stuff, and I knew we did some, but then first of all, when we uploaded the pictures, shout out to Google. They you know what I mean? They gave us some extra GBs in our in our Google Drive. I wasn't sure everything sent, and so we was asking, AJ, we're trying to redo the thumbnails for YouTube and stuff. And so I'm on there last night and I'm looking and I'm like, these thumbnails are fun.
Oh, yeah, super cool. Yeah.
Come on, boy, this is with the I said, oh man, this is lit. I was like, it's lit. And so, man, shout out to you, AJ, man. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job over there.
And it's just a quick thing. I didn't even tell you this yet. So there was a problem with yours. And
too handsome, right? Too handsome, right?
It's gonna be kind of comical, but so we're taking these thumbnail pictures with a green screen. For those who know, Olay's bald, front shave, right? And so the green screen is actually reflecting on your head. So as they're trying to do these edits for these thumbnails, they're like, Festus, Olay's head is green. we can't. And I'm like, there has to be an editing process. Take the part that's actually his skin color and just map it all over the rest of his head. Can you do that?
See,
and they're like,
what we're talking about here. We talk about be, know, do, values, and principles.
Yeah.
See, one of the things I learned from my parents is excellence. So even in a bald head, I must make sure that it is excellently shaved and pristinely taking care of the skin care. And so this is almost a blessing. You're seeing the fulfillment of be, know, do in actuality right now, where the head is so shiny, the reflection is so strong that the green screen doesn't know where it ends or begins. You see, this is the power of be, know, do right now. See, it all flows down there. But that's crazy. I had no idea that was happening.
100%.
Oh, man. Awesome stuff. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Edu Steps, powered by Enlightening Your Success. For Festus and Olay, I am Olay Sharanki. Festus, go ahead and end them with the phrase that sets it all together, man.
Listen, there are legitimate excuses for not going to college. There's no legitimate excuse for not getting an education. So look, get that education, and we'll see you on the next episode. All right, we're out.
Oh, you still there? Well, thank you so much for listening to the LYS Podcast.